What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I'm here with Anthony, and we are discussing the fifth episode of The Wheel of Time Season 3. And just quickly, I'm going to put this disclaimer out there. It's going to be me and Anthony for a couple of weeks because Mike
No,
is
Mike.
having surgery in the morning. He's okay, but he does have to have surgery. He's going to be on hiatus for a couple of weeks. He did say that it was okay for me to share that information just in case people started wondering where the hell he went to. So if you guys could, just on our Facebook page, YouTube page, wherever you can find us, if you would just leave some good wishes and good vibes from Mike and tell him to hurry up and get well so he can get his ass back on the show. So
Yep.
with
Prayers up to Mike.
Yep. What's up, Mike? So, with that being said, let's get into this episode 5. Again, I would say these episodes are putting a lot of information into this. What one I think this episode is an hour and 4 minutes. They are putting a lot of information in here.
Yeah, this is not necessarily a strong episode.
Mhm.
It's an info dump. It's
It
a big
is. It is.
exposition info dump.
Exposition galore. But I mean, we get to see almost everybody. We don't see Leandrin in this episode, but we do get to see some stuff with the two Black Ajah that's at the tower. We get to see Elaida doing some shady stuff. You get to see what's going on with all of the Two Rivers people, and
I know Valda.
have I mentioned how much I want this man to die? Have I? I don't think
Yeah.
I've mentioned it enough. I want this man to die. Like the most painful, horrible.
And in,
God.
in, even in the books, when you're reading and Valda shows up, it's like someone just scraping you across your eyeball. Like, do I have to read about this dude again? Oh my
Yes.
God.
For some, and I will say this though, to give credit to him, that you can leave such a mark on your audience with so little screen time because we don't see Valda a lot in this series. But
We
every
don't.
time he's on screen, he makes an impression and he makes you want to fucking kill him. That is talent.
Yeah.
That is talent. But we will get there. Let's start at the top of the episode with Moiraine because she has the Sarkonen
Mm-hmm.
and she's playing around with it. I
Playing with it,
guess trying to
playing with
figure out
fire.
she's she playing with something. I really felt like that first scene was like really double coded because she's playing with fire, but it was also giving very sensual vibes looking at it.
So if you remember, using the one power can be like a drug.
Mm-hmm.
Can make you feel euphoric,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what leads a lot of untrained people to burning themselves out.
Yep.
Um, if since they made this change and they're not doing the children call, they're gonna do the Sarkonen and Calendar. The when people a little bit lower. When they used to make these Angreal,
Mm-hmm.
especially the Sangreal for their purpose,
Mm-hmm.
um, the Sangreal, the ones that amplify your powers, make you stronger, or you can store one power to use for later. The ones like Calendar and the Sarkonen, um, they usually put a buffer built in so you won't burn yourself out.
Okay.
The thing about Calendar, it doesn't have a buffer.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's the same thing. I think they're trying to show us with the Sarkinen
Sarkonen.
that
Okay.
it may not have a buffer because she almost lost complete control.
She did.
Yeah.
And this is Moraine, who is probably, like you said, the strongest in the one power as far as women, aside from Lanfear,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, of the non-Forsaken.
Okay, of the non-Forsaken. Yeah. But yeah, she was about to burn herself out. And when Lan came and caught her, it was just the way she was, it's almost like a high or almost like afterglow.
Mm-hmm.
post orgasmic. That's kind of the way she was. And even Lan not having directly touched the source, but of course experiencing it through the bond, he could also feel just kind of how it was. When she asked him, she was like, what did you feel? And he said, it's like a hunger or a thirst, but something deeper. And I was like, oh, so she's experiencing what Rand told her he felt when he
Mm-hmm.
touched the source. I was like, okay, now so she understands. But that high, it's it's kind of like somebody, like I said, you're in your afterglow and everything, and somebody says something really stupid and it just blows your high. It blows that feeling because he was like, what did you see? What did you see in the rings? And she's just like, oh, and almost like collapses in his arms. And I was just like, Lan, you just had to come and ruin the moment. She was feeling good, probably the best she has felt in who knows how long. Because I don't even know how long they've been on this journey now. Because when she talks to Egwene later on in the episode, and Egwene is talking about, they're talking about the dream walking,
Mm-hmm.
and Egwene says something about it can be dangerous, and she starts laughing, and Egwene is like, "What?" She said, you're telling me about the dangers of dreams. And I remember a few years ago, I was telling you, and I was like, okay, she said years plural. So they've been on this journey for quite a while.
I think we figure it's been at least a couple of years since they left the
Yeah.
two.
And then we don't know how long it's been since they actually left Tarvalon this particular time
Yeah.
to come and do all of this. So it feels like it's been a while,
Mm-hmm.
especially with just kind of Avienda. If you look at her now being a wise one, her, I don't even want to say just her face has changed. I don't know if they did something with her makeup or is it just the way that they're styling her hair. She almost looks like a completely different person.
I think she's also changed her demeanor too. Like
Not
in
much.
her posture, she's not walking like a warrior.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But
She's
yeah.
she's yeah, she's made a change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can kind of see, I thought one of the funny things that, well, and I don't mean funny as in haha, but funny as in weird. You don't realize until the scene where Egwene is about to go sleep in the tent with the wise ones. You don't realize until that moment, like, wait, we have not seen Egwene and Rand together, like at all. Like they've been in the same area. They've been, um, communing with the Aiel, but literally we have not seen them exchange a word up until that moment in this episode. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, wow, what a way to kind of explain or kind of show this kind of deepening drift, between them. And then with everything else going on, but um yeah, okay. So this place where the Ta'ardad live, what did he call it? He
Cold rocks hold.
Cold Rocks Hold.
Right. Yeah.
When I say their language and the way they name things, it's almost like they want you to make it a tongue twister. They want people like us who talk about this show to have drinking games because that's almost what it's like. I was like, I'm not gonna even try to say that because I feel like I'm gonna stumble over my words and something very wrong is gonna come out. But
I mean, a lot of their stuff is just descriptions that
yeah,
have become the location names.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there also is like I said, you have all of the rhyming names, Melaine, Egwene, Moiraine,
Oh, you talking about that?
Elayne, just and it's like when I'm sitting here and I'm editing our shows, I have found that I've had to like really cut because there are a lot of times when I called Rand Land and called Land Rand, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. Why am I
A
so
lot of it,
slow?
I don't know.
What is
But a
going
lot
on?
of it is intentional. I mean, he did it on purpose. Randall Thor, author, Lancelot. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Gawain, Sir Gawain in the Green Knight, Glad. I mean, all of the Knights of the
Yeah.
Round Table is all over
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
You know,
You're right. You're right.
it is
Because
very
and I would say
intentional.
that too. When we first started watching the show and the character of Egwene came up, and I was like, Egwene? Because
Hmm.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, okay, it's just similar. And up until you mentioned it a couple of episodes ago, I didn't even like really put together the whole Arthur thing. Well, I guess until Moiraine mentioned Calidor, and I was like, that sounds familiar.
Excalibur, yeah.
A
Yeah.
sword and a stone, and no one has been able to get it out in
Hmm.
3,000 years.
Yeah.
We should have added this to our Arthurian legends list. Well, but of course, we didn't know it at the time. But yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The so yeah, the names do sound funny and weird, but it was very intentional.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get here to where the Tar Dad kind of congregate. And I tell you, I thought it was nothing but rocks. I was like, okay, so they just live in the rocks. And I mean, their clothes are kind of camouflaged because when they started popping up everywhere, I was like, where the hell did they come from? And then when you have the overview shot, you see that they've actually made homes and dwellings inside these rocks. And I was like,
Yeah.
that
They
is
actually do
actually
live
kind of
in the
cute.
rocks. Yeah.
It's like, I
Mhm.
like this. This is cool. But so yeah, so we get to meet Ruark's other wife, or I don't know, Bear's other wife, because she seemed more in tune with Bear than she did with Ruark. Like, okay. But one of the things I liked about this scene is you kind of see, I feel like you see a little bit of a maturity in Rand now as opposed to before he went into Ruidian. Because when the little girl comes up to him and she asks him if he's a Karakarn, he doesn't have the usual, or I won't even say usual, but Rand, I would say because of his age, I never looked at him as mature or thoughtful when it comes to certain things. But this one is kind of like, okay, she's a young one. I need to kind of maybe figure out how to answer her differently than I would if an adult had come to ask me, or if someone like IBN that came, oh, so you think you the car con? You
Hmm.
know, he kind of slowly rolls up his sleeve and he shows her the heads of the tattoos and he says, I am. And I was like, okay, he's really embracing it now. Like he's made his peace with the fact that this is his life now. And then in a split second, he makes a face and he starts chasing the little girl, and then you see the other little kids chase him. And I was like, okay, this is interesting because you see Egwene's face. She's looking at him, and the look on her face is kind of like regret and sadness because she knows if they had stayed in the Two Rivers, this is what he wanted his life to be. He wanted to be a dad. He wanted to have children. They had that conversation way
Hmm.
early in the first season, and that's not what
Yeah.
she wants. And then Bear looks at her and tells her she was like, your days of looking after him are over. It's time for you to come do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like your paths are not aligned. Again, people telling y'all not gonna be together. Y'all don't need to be together. Y'all are.
Yeah. The thing about Rand though is before he went to Ruidian, I think he had already kind of made peace with the fact that he was the Dragon Reborn. And he knew that he needed to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And after experiencing Ruidian and learning about his blood history and the history of the Aiel, that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
So he's had some time to think about it and contemplate on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he knows that he can't be that boy from the Two Rivers anymore. He has to be
Yeah.
something more.
Yeah. It's like he accepted it before Ruidian, but he was still. You could tell he was still kind of
He still,
angry about it.
or he was maybe a little bit still unsure about his place.
Right.
Like he knew he was a Dragon Reborn, but he didn't really know what he needed to do or
Yeah.
what the significance of that was.
Mm-hmm.
Because this being the Dragon Reborn and understanding the point of the Aiel are two separate things.
Yes.
Like he didn't know really what to expect, what this was about. He just knew he needed to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now we're seeing him now after he has, okay, not only am I the Dragon Reborn, but I am also the Cauthon.
Mm-hmm. And
And
not
so
only that, I am also I think I am Aiel in a way that he didn't think about it before.
I
Like
didn't think
because
about
he
it
got to
before.
see his mother and not just his mother, his father,
Mm-hmm.
that important piece because he didn't know about his father, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But also going back to the last episode when he and Lan were having a conversation, Lan keeps playfully calling him sheep herder when they're training. And they had a conversation. Lan was asking him about something, about being something, and about being Aiel, because he was saying, um, I know I'm from here. I mean, I know I'm Aiel. I know their blood runs through my veins, but this will never be home for me. But he also mentioned that the Two Rivers is not home anymore either. Like he doesn't belong. And Lan said, "Do you think it could be?" And Rand said, "It would be nice to find something that I am, or
Mm-hmm.
that I can be," because at that point he didn't know who he was or what he was. So I think not just a little anger about this whole destiny thing being placed on him, but I think also just the uncertainty, the anxiety about it. And it just seems like ever since Ruidian, now he knows who he is. He knows fully where he came from. He knows, like they said, he understands his ancestors, and maybe not understands, but he knows the journey that they've been on. And there's just something about him. There is a peace
Mm-hmm.
in his presence now. Like, okay, I've
Yes.
accepted it. Even when later on in the episode, when it's clear that things are not good between him and Egwene, like it's very strange when you see them on the screen together. And when she leaves the tent, he just kind of he puts his hand in his head. I mean, his head in his hand. He puts his head in his hand and he kind of is like, because I think even at that point, he realizes that's not going to be the way it was. Like,
Right.
okay, yeah, I think our time together might be at an end because I'm clearly on one path and she's clearly on another.
Feeling another. Yep.
You know, even though that's not, we don't, again, we only get the one scene with them in this episode, so we don't know where things are going, but it's clearly, it's very clear that they're stressed. They're not, I don't know, they're not flowing like they usually do. So, and you see her still kind of, I felt like kind of forcing it, because when she was getting ready to go to the tent and he was like, you're leaving? And she was like, well, the wise ones want me to sleep in their tent so we can practice some more. And she was like, I can stay. And he was like, no, you go. And again, that goes back to, for me, the first season, I had a conversation about them being teenagers, but them acting more mature than most teenagers we see in relationships in media these days, because they had a conversation about their future when she was like, okay, I know we talked about doing this, but I think I want to go be a wisdom. And if I'm a wisdom, I can't get married. And he was just like, I know. And it's like they had a moment to mourn what could have been. And that was it. Like they didn't argue about it. They had some words later on about it, but it was never just the kind of blow up teenage or young adult arguments that we always see in relationships, where you want this more than me and you don't want to be with me. We didn't see any of that.
Right.
So I just have a feeling now, again, you kind of see that understanding between them. Like they are still on one
Kind of cool.
accord,
Mm-hmm.
but just in a different way. And it makes me sad because I like them two together. I thought they were cute, but at the same time, I do believe that they have outgrown each other. And then of course there's the fact of Rand you know, sneaking
Yeah.
off the
Mm-hmm.
Lanfear and
Mm-hmm.
Lanfear trying to kill Egwene. That's a problem. That's a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
But it ain't gonna be a problem too long. Because Egwene done found the truth out now. But you know what? That's what happens when you go poking around in folks' dreams when you're not supposed to. That's so invasive. And that's one of the things that I think bothers me about this whole dream walker thing. Because Lanfear, we know she's gonna go in other people's dreams because she's forsaken. We're not expecting her to do anything good. We're not expecting her
No,
to respect boundaries. We're not expecting her to ask consent. We're not expecting that from her.
no. These people are ants to her.
Right. She don't give a fuck.
Okay.
But for Egwene to do it, even though she had innocent intentions, she just wanted to check on her friends and see if her friends were okay while she was trying to give Moiraine and Siuan some privacy.
Yeah,
I
but
get it.
obviously, they didn't teach her etiquette. You don't just go in other people's dreams. But I think it was a warning to say that if you in someone else's dreams, they are the ones that have the power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But also, what did Bear tell her? Bear and Elayne both told her, you are not to go into Teleron Riyadh without us telling you that you can go because it's too dangerous.
Hmm?
And I mean,
Teleron is dangerous, but being in someone else's dream is very dangerous.
yeah. But okay, so this is the look, here's a lesson time because I'm still kind of confused about. So when you're in your dream, that's kind of like one level. And then Teleronria is a different level. They're not the same thing. They're
No,
very separate. So,
yes. But some people can inadvertently enter Teleron in their dreams, but they're only there briefly.
okay.
Like when you saw Egwene walking around Toteron Riyadh and she was seeing bits and pieces
Yes, I
of
did.
people.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Those were people touching Toteron Riyadh from their own
Okay.
dreams.
That's what I was wondering because I was like, it's not like at first when we first saw the shadow running, I was like, okay, Lanfear is playing with her. And then you hear like children, and I was like, I don't think she would take the form of a child to kind of terrorize Egwene. And then you see the one kind of like a almost like a spectral form playing
Mhm.
with the doll, and then you see the little boy, and it's like he's there for a second and then he's not. And I was like, oh, okay, so the little boy just kind of stepped in there and he stepped back out. But I wasn't sure because I was like, okay, is this something children can do? But I guess, like Bear said, everyone can touch what did she say? Everyone
Touch.
can touch
Hmm.
Teleron Riyadh, but not everyone has the ability to enter.
That's right. Hmm.
She doesn't say anything about skill. There's no skill level involved in this. There's no, I guess, no age limit involved. It's just kind of like
And
if you have,
it doesn't involve channeling.
yeah, it's just
It's
kind
either
of
you're born with
if
it or
you
not.
have if it's in you, you just kind of step in and, oh, I'm not supposed to be here, let me come back out. But they don't know that they're doing this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh,
Then
I
she
did
sees
say
Lanfear.
it doesn't involve channeling, but if you have certain terangrial and can channel, you can
Mm.
because it gives you ability to do it. Those were big terangrials in the book.
Terror
Ter-
is for the guys and Sa is
terangrials.
for the women.
No, no, no. Terangrials are objects that you channel power into for a specific purpose. They're like
Oh, okay.
shortcuts
Okay.
to weaving.
Okay.
You're gonna learn about that in the season finale. But there's shortcuts into weaving.
Wait, how do you know what I'm gonna learn about in the season finale? Is it
It's
because
obvious from the promo that
okay.
there's a there you whatever. Anyway,
Okay. No, I'm
so
just saying because I just thought about it. I haven't seen the promo yet. So
okay, so I'm trying. Oh, okay. Well, so I'm trying to this. Even when I read the books, this was still hard for me.
okay.
Sangreal, can I think of them as like batteries?
Okay.
Okay, either batteries or amplifiers,
Ah,
like what
Shadow
you
and
call it.
Bone. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, amplifiers.
Mm-hmm.
Terangrial are objects that were created by the One Power with a specific purpose, like the Oath Rods. They're
Okay.
Terangrial.
Okay.
The painting thing that Siuan and Moiraine use
Right.
to get into Tel'aran'rhiod
Mm-hmm.
or Tel'aran'rhiod. You
Okay.
channel into them and it does something specific.
Okay.
So something like Calendar, it does it is more like an amplifier. So it's a sangreal.
Okay.
The Sarkonen is an amplifier. It's a sangreal.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The the Sean Chan um bands and collars
Mm-hmm.
are Terran because
Okay.
they are channeling for a specific thing to do.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know why we're on this conversation, but yeah.
Because
I
I'm
was
still
saying that
trying to, yeah.
there are Terran that can be used to enter the dream world, which is
Okay.
what we saw Swan and Moraine use.
Mm-hmm.
They're using that to go into the dream world together.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, but this time she got Egwene to take her. And I was like, for her to go to Egwene and ask Egwene, okay, so they're teaching you how to do this. Okay, so can you do it with the pastor? Like, can you take me somewhere? I was like, they have to have been there for at least a few months because I don't think Moiraine would ask Egwene to do that if Egwene was still just in the learning stages.
Yeah. It had to be
Because
at
it's
least a
too,
month or two.
yeah, because it's too dangerous.
At least a month, at least a month, at least at the minimum a month.
Mhm.
And if she was doing it every night, then that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because in the book, it takes a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're just speeding up the process for the show here.
Is that why Melaine? Because even when we see her trying it for the first time, she wakes up in Tel'aran'rhiod and they're telling her they were like, yeah, there are things that can here that can hurt you, and Bear says there's things that can eat you up.
No, Bear says there are things that can shatter your heart, and then I think Melaine says there are things that can eat your heart.
Yeah, oh, reverse, because Melaine said the other one and then Bear said the one about eating. But then
Yeah.
when she does that, all of a sudden Egwene's clothing changes. And she was
Mhm.
like, what happened? And Bear said, you were feeling scared, so you needed to protect yourself. So you put on a suit of armor. She said, basically, anything that you think of and hear, it can happen. So then she changes into some regular clothes and she lays back down, or no, she doesn't. They tell her about the dangers of Tel'aran'rhiod, but they're like, but this is your, when you're in your dreams, you control your dreams. This person who is stalking you, if she's in your dreams, you can control that. You can kick her out if you want to. It's just a matter of doing that. If you feel in danger and you need to be somewhere else, you just think of somewhere else and you will be somewhere else. And then that's when all of a sudden she disappears and she ends up in the abandoned streets of Tarvalon in her mind. But then that's where Lanfear finds her. And Lanfear at this point looks at her face to face because I think when Egwene first saw her and there was a shadow, I think she thought she was seeing Rena. And then Lanfear comes to her and she was like, I'm so glad you're here. She's basically like has her in a chokehold. And then that pin drops in the real world. She wakes up and they're like, oh my God, you are really being stalked by what did they call her? The Shadow Soul.
The Shadow Soul. Hmm.
They were like, you really are being stalked by one of them. And Egwene is like, what is the Shadow Soul? They're like, you wetlanders call them Forsaken. And Egwene was like, shit, they found me. I'm like, yeah, that one's been keeping track of y'all. I don't know if she knew where Egwene was, but she definitely knows where Rand is. Because I think she said something to him about the Aiel waste in the last episode, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Because she was like,
But
it's smart.
I'm kind of, I don't want to say confused, but she had already been in Egwene's dreams
Mm-hmm.
as Rena. So she's always kind of known where she was. She would always go in her dreams anyway. So
Mm.
why was this special? Why was this any different?
Maybe because before Egwene had no idea of what was going on, and now because she's being trained and she's being more aware, maybe that's why it seemed different. I don't know. Maybe Lanfear is like, okay, so now that you know the difference, I don't need to hide my face anymore. Like she's basically challenging Egwene. She's jealous of Egwene because of Rand, and I mean, she had her big declaration to Rand in this episode. She told Rand, "I love you. I love you for the man you are, the boy you are, as much as who you were before." She's all in.
Mm.
So now she's to the point where she's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna stop hiding behind this other face this girl is scared of. I'm gonna give her something to really be scared of. Because again, at this point, Egwene doesn't even know about Celine slash Lanfear.
Oh, not yet.
Oh, she does now, but because she sees it in his dream at the end of the episode. And I think maybe even for her, more horrifying than the fact that it's Lanfear and she realizes this is the woman that's been stalking her. But again, she's in Rand's dream. So this is what Rand is seeing in his dreams. This is what Rand is desiring at this point.
Yeah, but okay. So we know the truth, but let's just be devil advocate here for
Mm-hmm.
Rand.
Mm-hmm.
If Lanfear has, or if this shadow soul who's been stalking you has been doing this to you in
Mm-hmm.
your dream, how do you know she's not manipulating him in his dream?
She
She
doesn't.
thought that
Mm-hmm.
it was Rena. It looked like Rena.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Lanfear had the same haircut as Egwene.
Oh yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
same hairstyle. How do you not know that maybe she looks like
Yeah.
Egwene to him? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, how does she jumped to a conclusion? But again, I know
You're
they're
right.
young,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you're in his dream. He's dreaming. He could be dreaming about you, and it's Lanfear, but he doesn't know it's Lanfear,
Yeah. Now we
right?
know different,
We
but
know
yeah.
different, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying she don't know different.
Yeah. But I think the sad thing about that whole interaction, I think, is, you know, all this time that Lanfear and Rand have been in this, they've been in Teleron Riyadh or she's been in his dreams, and there's been the almost touching, and you can kind of feel the longing because he's like, okay, yes, I'm with Egwene, but I still feel attracted to her. I still care about, talking about Lanfear. And it's almost as if in this episode when he finally kind of relents and kisses her, I was thinking about what you said about Lanfear and Luz Theron, and about how she only wanted him for his power, and he didn't feel like, that wasn't what he wanted out of the relationship. Like, he was into her because she was her. She was into him because she wanted the power, and he broke up with her because of that. I was getting kind of sort of maybe opposite vibes with this, because I think Rand understands that Egwene is probably destined for something different that does not include him. And then here you are, you have this one person next to you that you do care about, who is telling you, I love you. I want to be with you. I love the person that you are now as much as I love the person that you were before. And it's just kind of like one of those things where he's just like, this is what I want. I want someone to love me and see all of me and accept all of me. And I do feel like with Egwene, sometimes he holds himself back because he doesn't want her to look at him in a certain way. you know
There's another possibility.
what's the other possibility?
He's playing a dangerous game. He's trying to manipulate a Forsaken.
mm,
That
you
goes back
think
to that
so?
conversation he had with Moiraine in the bedroom way back when she was like, "We need her to help us." When he went to sleep.
Yes, when they were in Kyrian.
Hmm.
You think he would be? Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about
He would be.
what Moiraine said to him last episode about this arrogance will get, and she didn't finish the thing, but yeah, this arrogance will get you killed if he has gotten that comfortable in knowing that he is the dragon reborn and knowing he has certain things to do, because I'm pretty sure that what we saw of his visions in Ruidian, that's probably not the only thing he saw.
Right.
And
And
we
we,
don't
we
know,
know it's
like,
not. We know it's not the only thing he saw because he was there for 7 days
right. But also, we don't see
or 5 days.
how he got Moiraine out of the rings. So I don't know, like I don't know
But she
anything
had to.
about.
He couldn't take her out. She had to get out on her own.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask, because
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if he's able to get into the rings.
Mm-mm.
Like they never specifically say, okay, so Rand, you're going in the glass columns to see all the memories of your ancestors, but you can only go in the glass columns. They
Yeah.
didn't tell him he couldn't go in the rings, so we
Because if
don't.
a man, remember I told you if a man touches the women's collar and bracelets,
Yes.
then they die instantly, both of them.
Hmm.
The same thing. If he had stepped into the rings, he would have died.
Okay.
If she had went to the glass columns, she would have died
Okay. So when
because it's not
Latressa
meant for
died
them.
made that, she very specifically separated those two, because we saw
They,
her make the columns, but we
mhm,
didn't see her place the rings there. So
yeah, they,
I'm
they,
assuming that's a later addition.
yeah. Those would be Terran Grial,
Okay.
and they have specific purposes.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, okay, so that's interesting to think that Rand might be trying to manipulate.
Because think about it, she is. He knows at this point that she is now the most powerful of the Forsaken
Mm-hmm.
because the Ishamael is dead.
Right.
If he can get
He
her on
said that
his,
Ishamel is dead without
as far
hesitation.
as they are concerned, he's dead.
I just had to
He
mess with
died
you.
so many. He died so many times in the books. Whatever.
Okay.
Um, having her on his side, or at least having the same goal and objective,
Mm-hmm.
then that gives him a leg up on the other Forsaken.
Okay. All the ones who want him dead.
Yeah, well,
Like we do know.
that's all of them except for her.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We do know for a fact. I don't think she wants him dead. Like I don't see telling somebody, I love you, I want to be with you, I want you to
Yeah,
die.
she doesn't want to do it.
Like those sentences don't go together. So yeah.
Yeah,
So okay.
it's her objectives. I don't want to use the word unclear. Her objectives aren't very apparent at the moment. Like she's also she's very manipulative too.
So this is my I don't know if I want to call it a theory, but I did think about this.
Go ahead, call it a theory in honor of Mike. Let's call it a theory.
So in the last episode, when she was in Rand's dream and she was talking about a way to break her oaths, she mentions the Sarkonen.
Mm-hmm.
Now Moiraine has it. And we also saw a whole bunch of visions of Moiraine getting her throat slit by Lanfear. And I'm just kind of wondering if Lanfear manipulate. Like, I know she kind of told Rand, she was like, "Oh, so you came to the Aiel waste? That was smart." Blah blah blah. But I'm wondering if maybe she had a part in that because she knew she couldn't go in there and get it. I mean, I don't know if Forsaken can enter Ruidian or what it would do. I would assume that something is protecting it, but I'm just wondering if she kind of manipulated the situation so that Moiraine would go in and get it, and then she's going to try to take it from Moiraine.
Mm, that's a good theory. I don't know.
I just wonder, because I was like, it seems like such a coincidence that she mentions this and she talks about, okay, yeah, so if a woman gets the Sarkonen and a man who can channel gets Calidor, then we can do this. We can kill the Forsaken. And then all of a sudden in the next episode, we learn about the Sarkonen and Moiraine has the Sarkonen and she takes it out of Ruidian. Like, I don't know if she was supposed to do that. I don't know if the Sarkonen was supposed to stay in there. It's again, because it's not something I'm familiar with. I don't know what the rules are regarding those sangreal. Like, was that supposed to
Mm.
stay in the tree? Because every vision we
Again,
saw
that
of Rand,
all of that is original.
oh,
So
okay, okay.
all of that
So I was
is
gonna
original.
say, every vision we saw of Rand, we saw the tree
Mm-hmm.
and we
And
saw
the Sarkonen.
Sarkonen right
Yeah.
there in the heart of the tree.
Yeah. That's all original. And I'm
Okay.
sure Latra said I put words around it, just like Loose Thinner put words around calendar.
Mm, okay.
So even if Lanfear had figured out where it was, she probably couldn't get to it.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
probably couldn't get it. She probably I wouldn't be surprised if she knew what Latra Sedai had done,
Mm-hmm.
sending out all the Sangreal and Terangreal with the Aiel to be hidden.
Right.
But she wouldn't have known where they went. Because remember, Latra Sedai didn't tell them to go to the Aiel waste.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
made that decision on their own.
Yeah.
So at best, she knew it was still out there in the world. She wouldn't know where it was.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
because by the time they did it, she had been sealed away.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm wondering if Moiraine had left the Sarkona in the tree, because remember, she found it and put it in her pocket right before she saw the rings and went into the rings. I'm wondering if she had left the Sarkona in the tree and then gone into the rings, would her visions, like, what would her future have changed? I think that's the thing that was making me think, because I'm like,
That's the
what
one thing we didn't see in the visions.
was
We
the
weren't was
yeah.
the Sarkonen.
Yeah, but we saw Lanfear killing her a lot of times, and we know Lanfear wants the Sarkonen for whatever reason. She claims she wants to be able to break her dark oaths, but maybe that's not the reason why she wants it. Maybe she wants, I mean, she could want to be more powerful than the Dark One. I don't know if the Sarkonen would allow her to do that, but we could have been seeing just the result of, kind of cause and effect. Okay, you take the Sarkonen, so now the person who wants the Sarkonen probably more than you see 1,000 visions of her killing you. But if you hadn't touched it and then went to the rings, would you have seen your future differently? Like she tells Lan in this episode, she was like, I saw it. I'm not at the last battle. And she was like, if I am alive, Rand, in every vision that I saw where I lived, Rand died. And the only way that Rand will win is if I am not there. Now I did notice she didn't say that when she said that particular statement, I think, when she said, um, if Rand is to live the last battle, I won't be there, or something like that. I noticed she didn't say she was dead in that one.
Did you say I didn't make it to the last battle? Or I'm not at the last battle?
I think she just said, I'm not at the last battle. But I don't know. She was drunk off that Aiel, what is it? Oozling, oolong, whatever it
I
is.
forgot what it was called.
The Aiel moonshine. But yeah, so I was just kind of wondering again, it's one of those things where I'm taking in all of this information and my mind is going like a mile a minute trying to figure out, like, okay, so am I looking at the story that they're telling us and this actually what they're telling us, or are they kind of giving us a misdirect? That's because that's what I feel like they're pulling an okey doke on us, but I'm just not quite sure yet what the okey doke is. But I feel like even with all of this that they showed us in this episode, I was like, there's some information missing. And I don't know, something about that Sarkonen being in Moiraine's possession is bothering me because of the fact
I
that
think
Lanfear
I think
mentioned it.
I think we might be heading down the road of overthinking.
You think so?
Yeah, because I remember thinking that too, that because the one thing I noticed, none of her visions she had the Sarkonen, but
Mm-hmm.
it was in her possession.
Right.
So I I don't know. I don't know if it would have made a difference whether she had it or not.
See, I feel
I
like
think
she
her
didn't have.
visions were going to be the same no matter what. Because even because one Lanfear doesn't seem to be trying to manipulate Moiraine in her dreams or manipulate her other than trying to help her manipulate Rand,
Mm-hmm.
right? Secondly, I think it's more important that she sees that she doesn't have the Sarkonen in her visions. And that may be something that she thought of too, which is why she's trying to figure out how to use it
Mm,
to
okay.
protect herself from Lanfear. Because not in any of those visions that we saw did
Mm-hmm.
she ever have it.
Mm,
So it's
okay.
possible the wheel intended for her to go there. The wards were probably placed there, and since Latra Sedai was probably the last Aes Sedai there, it was probably for an Aes Sedai to get.
Mm,
And as an Aes Sedai, she was able to get it.
okay. Yeah.
But were not, the rings don't intentionally, I don't want to say they're sentient, but it was showing her what she needed to see.
Mm-hmm.
And she needed to see that if she isn't prepared, Xander is going to kill her over and over again. And also, if she doesn't die, Rand can't be successful.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she needed to see.
Okay. Okay. I'm still
We
gonna
have
keep
to
that in the.
we have to be careful about trying to overthink these things. Because that's why I say it's important. She says, I'm not at the last battle, but she doesn't really say, I'm dead. She only says, Rand, and if I live, Rand dies.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are two separate
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
things.
Yeah. So, so if she, okay. Because I was gonna say, so if she's not at the last battle, then where the hell is she? If she's not dead. I mean, but I mean that could be
It
okay.
can mean so
We're
many things.
we're not gonna go down this yellow brick road today. We'll just, as you say, we'll stick a pin in that because there are some other interesting things happening in this episode that we need to get to. And for right now, I'm going straight to Elaida, that bitch to die, because I'm sure that maybe for half a second, Siuan was wishing that she was a dark friend so she didn't have to abide by those oaths, because I'm sure she wanted to take that one power and whip the shit out of Elaida after the disrespect she displayed in the Amerlin's office. I was looking at this like,
If you looked up disrespect in the dictionary, you would see a picture of Elaida Sedai.
and it's probably one of those scratch and sniff pictures that smells like roses.
Rotten roses. Is that what someone said?
No, she
Rotten.
just said the overwhelming smell of your perfumed roses.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see that. See
Because
that.
she's sitting there reading, I'm assuming, one of Moraine's letters, because of course she and Moiraine are not on good terms right now. She's reading the letter, she smells the letter, then all of a sudden you see her kind of look, and she puts the letter away real quick. And before Elaida even gets into the room good, she was like, the scent of your perfumed rose is it's so strong that it comes into the room before you do. I was like, oh, that's a good alarm to have. She coming down the hall, you like, oh, she gonna be here in 5, 4, 3, 2.
and the worst part of it the outright disrespect. She said, "Mother,
Then
you
come in
fool."
polite.
She said, "You fooled many people, but I know what you are, river trash."
Mm-hmm.
Man, I know she
But
was.
before that, even before
I,
that,
I know
she
she was
walked
not. She was
in
talking about you know turn this proper place into a river hut, and you've had kings and queens sit on this,
on these
you know,
simple chairs with
circle
these
chairs
hard
and
ass
these hard
carpets.
ass carpet. No, ma'am.
I know.
I know what you are, river trash.
I was like, wow.
I paused the first time I watched this episode. I paused. I
Like,
had to
you
get up.
bitch.
I had to get up and get myself together.
But again, just like she did with Queen Morgaze, Siuan, she kept it together.
She did. I don't know how she
Because
did.
when Elaida was like, because obviously Elaida has been elected as the temporary sitter of the Red Aja because one, she was given the audience
Oh,
with
yeah.
Amerlin.
Mhm.
And then two, she was like, I'm gonna call for a vote in the hall. And for us to go after and cage Rand al'Thor and blah blah blah. And what did Siuan say? She said, we'll see which way the votes go. She said, I assume you have a better handle on that than the last time you faced off against me. I was like, you know what? Siuan is that bitch. She was like, oh, you think you about to come up in my house and disrespect me? She was like, no, I'm going to disrespect you, but I'm going to be polite with this shit. I loved it. She was just
Yeah.
looking at her like, you still talking? You still talk? She was like, it's very hard to get an appointment with me. I'm sure you're not here to talk about my sense of style. Like, come on. But oh, when I tell you that woman, when she called her river trash, I was like that. I was like that meme, like, oh, what? I rewound it. River trash. Oh, she was like, yeah, you can't. What did she call it? She said, you've been the same thing ever since you brought your little filthy 9-year-old self through our doors. I was like, wow. I said, are you mad that someone younger than you beat you as Amerlin, or you just don't like her just because of where she's from, or
It's probably
like,
because of where she's from, and the fact that you know Elaida been around a long time.
yeah,
And she's probably been dealing with noble families, noble houses her entire life,
yeah.
and to have this river trash become
Mhm.
Armelin, that has to be so disrespectful to her.
I felt the same way I did when Nolan called Peggy his pets
His pet.
on
You could have
Invincible.
pet.
I felt the same outrage. I was like, hold up, this bitch. Like, I wanted to come through the screen and fight for Siuan. But again, Siuan kept her cool. She made her little digs. And when the only time you saw her falter was when Elaida asked her about Moiraine. Because she comes in, the first thing she says is, where is Elayne? She was like, her brothers have been missing her. And Siuan says, she's on a mission of my own choosing. I've already let her mother know. And that's when Elaida really starts going in on her. But then she was like, where's Moiraine Sedai? And you see Siuan's face almost falter. And she was like, she's been exiled. She was like, yeah, because I remember when you were a novice, you were all over her like a little lovesick puppy. And I think I asked about that a couple of episodes ago. I was like, was it widely known that they were together back then? And yeah, apparently it was. And Siuan was like, that was a long time ago. And she was like, people never change. I was like, so you literally are telling her that you are the same bitch that she beat when up for the ambulance seat 20 years ago. So you, okay, you the same person too. But Siuan was just like, well, that's about all our time. The ambulance day is a busy one.
Is there anything else?
And then she's like, no, thank you, mother. Is the way she says mother is just like there's so much disdain dripping off her tongue when she has to call Siuan mother. She's like, no, thank you, mother, for
I,
your time.
I thought of that meme with the person doing this. Swan looking for a way to use the one power.
That's how I
Not
felt
as a reference.
because the look on Siuan's face when Elaida walked out, I was like, she's sitting here thinking, damn, I need to know if she's a dark friend for real because I need to get her.
Speaking of trying to figure out if she's a dark friend, nice segue. I think Swan had the same thought. I need to find out if this chick is a dark friend, if she's Black Ajah.
Let me tell you, Lyanna is all but convinced. Lyanna is like, she Black Ajah. We just need to go. We just need to go take care of her. And even Varen is like, I understand how you feel, but we have to make certain. And I'm gonna tell you this: something about this episode, and maybe a little bit about the last episode. I'm starting to change my opinion about Varen Sadai. I think she could be the other Black Ajah.
What will make you think that?
I don't. It's either her or it was Adelaus because when they're sitting there talking, when Siuan comes in and she's telling her about the numbers, she was like, "Okay, yeah, so it's about the numbers." She said, Leandrin, she basically had hearts
She
for
was
the
connected
for
to Four
the
Hearts.
to the Black Ajah. She said there were 3 people in each heart. She had 4 hearts. That means there were 12 of them. 11 of them revealed themselves, so there's still one more. But if you notice at the beginning of that scene when she is with Adelaus, like Adelaus still is recovering from whatever spell Naomi did on her, if you want to call it a spell. But she's sitting there drinking her tea. And when Siuan comes in, of course, they're not really trying to hide anything from Adelaus because they think, okay, Adelaus, her mind is a little bit muddled. She probably won't pay attention. But did you notice the change in her demeanor when the words Black Ajah came out? She literally, and she was sitting there paying attention to what they were saying. So it's either Adelaus or it's Varen. But the reason why I said I think it could possibly be Varen is because one, when Lyanna was sitting there talking about, oh, it's Elaida, it's Elaida, it's Elaida, I feel like she was trying to deflect from that because she might be Black Ajah, but I don't think she wants somebody else to be accused of that falsely. I don't know. So I feel like she's kind of teetering if she is Black Ajah. The second part is when they do the little bait and switch thing later on in the episode. They have the accepted girl bring Adelaus out,
Mm-hmm.
and Elaida sees her, and they start talking, and the girl goes back in, and Lyanna is like, so did she take the bait? The girl says yes. Varen is over there reading the book, but she looks so worried. And I was like, okay, is she worried about her sister talking to Elaida, or is she worried about her sister maybe slipping up and saying something that she's not supposed to say because she doesn't know that she's not supposed to say it? And I know that they probably trained her, they probably got her to say, okay, yeah, when she comes to you, you're going to say 13th depository, you're going to say Black Ajah, because that's what Adelaus does to kind of get Elaida to go down to the 13th depository where they're keeping Joy and Amico. But then also, once all of that happens, once Elaida is down there, she questions Joy and Amico, she kills Amico, she tries to get the name of the last sister out of Joya, but here comes the gray man and kills Joya and then attacks Elaida. Siuan and Lyanna come down to the repository. They see what's going on. Siuan starts healing Elaida's wounds, and she was like, I think I may have underestimated you. I think I may have, kind of made a mistake with you. Who is not there? Varen.
Varen.
So I don't know. I just feel, especially after the last gray man, like this is now 2 gray men that have been in the tower. In the tower.
Well, they can get into the tower if they
I
want
know,
to.
but what I'm saying is you have 2 attacks, like back to back, and Varen is kind of sort of attached to both of them, kind of in a, you know,
indirect way.
right. Because when the gray man attacked Elayne and Nynaeve, who's coming around the corner? Verin. Who doesn't ask who stabbed the gray man? Verin. She had what? You got a gray man in your tower on your floor and you don't have any questions about it. You don't ask why do you think he's after you? You you have no curiosity about this thing whatsoever. Then you have all this stuff happen with Elaida. You know you set the trap for her because that's what Siuan told you to do, but then you didn't go with them to see what the result of that trap was.
This is the third gray man, right?
Yes, but the first
They're
gray man
all
was in the town.
yeah, but they're all Mogedian.
Mm-hmm.
Mogedian is sending these gray men.
Yeah, but I don't know. They still have a sister in the. They still have a Black Ajah in the tower. How do we know that Mogedion is not working? Especially because she knows that Liandrin is leading the Black Ajah. Because again, she was disguised as a servant in Tanchico in Liandrin's house, just like she has that secret.
But what would Mogedian? This is getting into the weeds. But what would Mogedian gain to stand to gain by killing Joya and Amika?
Mm-hmm. Maybe
How important is that 13th sister in the tower?
I
Why would
mean,
Megadian's she got her hands on the Black Ajah she need to have her hands on. Whatever's happening to the tower don't have nothing to do with what they got going on here.
I
And the
don't know
only
yet.
person who knew what they were doing in Tanchico was Leandrin. She just like did she tell them in the
Not in
last
this
episode?
episode.
Was that
Oh
in the
yeah,
last
yeah, yeah,
episode?
yeah. She,
Why they were there.
yeah, yeah, because of the
So
Adom. But I
but
don't know. My brain
the
hasn't thought
13th
that far
sister
yet.
no, but the 13th sister doesn't know why they're in She doesn't even, probably even know where they are.
The 12th sister.
The 12th sister.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still trying to figure out why the gray man would be there to kill Amiko and Joy because they don't have any information.
I mean, Joya was about to tell who the 12th sister was, so maybe I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like Mogedion has her little super secret partnership with Gabriel or Raven. Maybe maybe she has ties to this 12th sister and she doesn't want them to find out who it is because maybe that's how she's getting some of her information. Aside from her being in Tanchico, that means she could still have somebody watching what's going on at the tower for any information. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, information, because it's not like, I mean, unless this is a skill I don't know about. It's not like she can be in two places at one time. If she's paying attention in Tanchico because that's where the priority is. Okay, Leandra has identified there is a male Adam somewhere in that town. The collar, they already have the bracelet, and maybe she's like, okay, while I'm here doing this, I need you. Or maybe she's not even directly, maybe it's an indirect thing. And she's just kind of like, okay, I need you to give me information and let me know what's going on. So I mean, I don't know.
Softly, softly from the shadows.
Softly, softly from the shadows.
Mm. So
I guess for
then we
for as
talk
much of a
about
so I guess for as much of a bitch as she is, Elaida is not Black
no,
Ajah.
no. I was gonna go off on a tangent about we still don't know who that last Forsaken is.
Yeah, you're
Still
right.
missing one.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's
And
who it is. Look, maybe that's who the 13th, I mean the 12th Ajah. See, now you got me saying 13. Maybe that's who the 12th Ajah is. I don't know.
hmm.
But you know, I thought Elaida was gonna get it. And this show keeps teasing stuff. They keep trying to stab folks and make me think that they're about to die. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And no, here
Elida's
comes
gonna
Siuan.
Elida's gonna use this as part of her evidence to get rid of some.
Absolutely.
See this bitch, she
Absolutely.
set me up to be murdered. She's probably working with dark friends. See,
Yeah,
well,
I
she
kind of
has to
see
be
that
a dark
coming.
friend
I kind of see
because
that
she
coming.
right before they were gonna tell me who it was, the gray man killed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see her using that to her advantage.
That's gonna be terrible.
But on the flip side, Siuan could easily say if that was the case, why would I heal her?
Mm.
Because if that's what you're gonna do, let the great man do his job. You don't have to come down there and save her.
Yeah, but some people may just be looking for an excuse.
And I'm sure they are, but I'm saying that excuse will be flimsy at best. I think because of the fact that Siuan saved her. So yeah,
I don't know. In combination with all the other things, letting letting the dragon get away, all
which
that.
again was not technically her fault because she was on the back. She was on the grounds. Technically speaking, Lyanna is the one that let the dragon get away.
It's just
I'm
again,
just, I'm just
who
saying.
Leanna is Swan's keeper.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just nitpicking, but those
It,
those
it,
are arguments that can kind of be pulled apart.
it can be, but when people have an idea in their head what they
I
want to
know.
do, it's very easy to overlook.
I know.
That's why we got the president we got now. But we're not gonna go there.
Oh, let's not go there. Okay, so we're just gonna segue into a different part of the story because talk about almost killing folks and me having a heart attack. We need to go to the two rivers. I'm gonna say it again. I want Child Valda to die a slow and very painful death.
The problem, it's not even a problem. This psychopath, right? He itching, chomping at the bit to put these little girls to the question. He can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
And the fact that
He don't really care about Perrin or Ibar. He don't care. He don't care.
oh,
They're girls and they're women, and they deserve to be punished,
and I believe what you said in the
tortured.
last episode. You were like, I don't think it's just Aes Sedai. You said you think he has a problem with women. Obviously, he does.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has a hard on for doing this questioning because he even tries it again. He was like, okay, so we really need to get this information on Perrin. You gonna let me question these women? And Dane is like, no.
He's like,
Even drunk, Dane is like, no,
he stood there for us. He was like, "Yeah, no,
no,
absolutely not."
no. So he goes into the tent where he's keeping the Cauthon women and he's trying to be nice to the girls. You know, he was like, hey, nobody's going to get hurt. And I'm sorry, I was like, as soon as he said that, I was like, somebody's going to get hurt. But he's like, nobody's going to get hurt. He was like, I just need to know where Perrin Ibarra is. And one of the girls answers, you know, she was like, I'm sorry, sir. We don't know where he is. She was like, even if he was back in the village, we haven't seen him. And we wouldn't remember what he looks like anyway, because, you know, again, at this point, it's been a couple of years. The girls were little when they left. So
Mhm.
they've gotten a little bit older, but still, they're like, no, we don't know him. And while they're doing that, Natty is over to the side trying to get his keys. And I'm just sitting there like, Natty, you're about to get caught. So she didn't get caught the first time. He gets up and he turns around and almost looks like he's about to walk off. And then the other girl, I guess she realizes what her mom was trying to do. So she calls him back. She was like, but if he were to come back, I know where he would go. So he comes back over, he bends down to them. And as soon as he did that, it was something about the way his body was angled. I said, he knows Natty was trying to take them keys.
Mm-hmm.
So she tries to take the keys. He catches her And then he pulls her arm and kind of slams her face up against the cage. And then all of a sudden, he is hit with the one power. And at this point, we don't know where it came from. So, of course, he's pissed off. Oh, you're witches, you're witches. And that is like, no, it was me. It was me. And he kind of looks at her, and then he opens the cage and he takes her out and gives her the child bottle. He was like, this one is ready for questioning.
He says, "You're a witch."
Now, well, here's the thing. He said, you're a witch when he was talking to all three of them in the cage. And then when Natty says, it was me, and he takes her out, at first I was pissed. I was like, you asshole. But then I started thinking, Child Valda, as we just said, he wasn't going to let go of wanting to question one of those girls or all three of those girls. And I think Dane knew enough to know at some point he's going to get what he wants. And I really feel like when he was in that tent and he realized that someone could channel, I think he knew it had to be one of the girls. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he wanted to give the girls up to Child Balder, knowing what he's capable of. And I think when Natty kind of said, it was me, that kind of gave him a way to, one, protect the girls. Because again, Dane is doing all this other bullshit because he wants Perrin. But we know that he's not a cruel person. We've seen that before. Even with Avienda, when he had her locked up, he was still like, okay, we can give her some water, which none of the other White Cloaks would have done. So I think he used that as an excuse to kind of save the girls. You didn't have to say they were channeling. And he took Natty out. Of course, didn't have to say she channeled. He was just like, this one's ready for your questioning. Valda was going to do what he did to her regardless of whether or not she was a channeler or not. Because he just needed to get that out of his system. So, of course, when Perrin and Fael and Bane and Chiad finally get down there to kind of rescue them, and they get the girls out, and the girls tell them, okay, they took mom that way. When he comes around the corner, you can tell, probably because of his senses, you can tell he already knows that Natty is dead. Then, of course, you go around and you see he tied her to a stake and he burned her just like he did the other Aes Sedai when we first met him. And at that point, I was like, okay, Perrin is about to kill somebody. He's about to kill somebody because, of course, he's visibly upset. Fael is like, okay, we have to go. And they run smack dab into Dane. And he was like, you did this. You allowed this. He was like, I thought you was a good man. Dane said, I was a good man. Up until you. Then the fight starts. Now, before all of that, when they got ready to go to the camp, and they were talking about what they were going to do, is Perrin, Fael, Bane, Chiad, Alanna, and Maksim. And Loyal. And Perrin was like, okay, so this is what we're going to do. Me, Bane, and Chiad, we're going to go down there. We're going to get Natty and the girls. And then Fael says, and me. And Perrin says, no, not yet. You're going to stay up here. It's going to be the three of us. And she pulls out her knife and puts it up to Perrin's throat. And Bane and Chiad look at each other and say, and her. They were like, yeah, we taking her. But they get into this fight. Fael with like 3 or 4 White Cloaks, and then Perrin with Dane. I guess Dane was pissed off enough. He might have been drunk, but he was pissed off enough, like, okay, I'm gonna fight this dude. When he stabbed Perrin in the side, I was like, okay, I have seen enough near death today. I don't need to see any more. And I should have kept my mouth shut because I should have known that wasn't going to be the end of it. Because when they're in the big group, Alanna makes a remark and she was like, it's a clear night tonight. There's no clouds. I'm gonna create some cover. And Maksim is telling her, he was like, no, we agreed that you're gonna stay up here and heal the girls in case they need it. And she looked at him and she was like, I'll create some cover. And he said, Alanna, no, you can't do this. He was like, those are White Cloaks down there. do you know what they would do if they get even a whiff of channeling being done? And she looks at him and she looks at them and she was like, I'll create cover. And Maximus like, I don't even know why I'm wasting my breath because she's gonna do what she wants to do. And they get into this whole argument because he was like, okay, I have to
He's
say,
like, why are we
I don't
here?
like it when they argue. It's so heart wrenching. But yeah, he was like, so why are you doing this? And she was like, you don't tell me what to do. We don't make no, he said we usually make decisions together. And she said, well, we haven't been much of a we lately. He was like, really? You gonna say that to me? He was like, I
Mm-hmm.
followed you up Turnip Mountain. Why you gotta call it Turnip Mountain? He said, I followed you up Turnip Mountain and you still haven't told me what we're doing here. And then she says, because you're not enough. And she yells it. And at first I was like, is this like a dig at him and their relationship? Like, oh my God, Ivan's not here and you're not enough for me.
I knew exactly what she meant the first time.
Yeah, I realized it once it came out because the way he looked at her, I was like, okay, she didn't mean it in that kind of way because I think he would have felt it if she meant it that way.
Mhm.
And she was like, look, when I took this ring, I decided that I was going to be on the winning end when this whole last battle thing comes. She said, and you know what I realized when the Black Ajah attacked? They are ready and
And
we are
we are
not.
not.
She said, and if nobody else is going to build an army, then I will. And he said, an army of what? Farmers? She said, the Dragon Reborn, Egwene Almira, Nynaeve,
The strongest channeler in the
in
last
the
couple
last
of years.
1,000 years. She said, even the hornblower, they all come from this place. And she's
Hmm.
basically telling him, look, there's a lot of power here. We just got to find it. So, of course, he gets upset. He was like, look, he was like, I don't care about the last battle. I don't care about ambulance. I don't care about none of this shit. He was like, the only thing I've ever cared about in my life is Ivan and you. And if you're going to throw your life away like you did his, I was like, why are we saying these horrible things to each other?
He's still hurt.
I
That's,
know. I know. But he was like, I'm here for you. I don't give a fuck about none of this other stuff. But if you're gonna throw your life away, I'm not gonna stand here and watch. I'm gonna do what we should have done in the first place. I'm gonna go find Leandrin and I'm gonna go kill her. And when he turns around to walk off, she calls his name. He turns around. He was like, "Come go with me." And you could see almost for a split second she was considering it, almost. And then you see her make this face, and she looks at him, and she was like, I turned off the bond. I was like, why are y'all stabbing me in my heart today, y'all? I don't like it. Okay, I don't like it when Alanna and Maksim fight. And I've noticed that in the last few episodes since we're seeing more of them, because when it was them and Ivan, they all, when they disagreed, it was a humorous disagree. It was playful. It was
hmm.
never hurtful. It was never, oh my God, stick the knife in and twist it. And that's what I felt like with this conversation and the conversation they had in the last episode. So he leaves. So while all this stuff is going down here in the camp, Alanna is making the cover. Now I will say this, Alanna, you could have been a little more subtle because there is no way all of that fog just immediately covers the camp and they don't know that that's a channeler somewhere.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. And the thing about it is they know how to hunt Aes Sedai.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And that's what they did because when Balder sees the fog, he was like, yeah, you know what? That other witch, she was nothing. And there's another white cloak with him. He was like, you want to go learn how to catch a real woman that can channel? Yeah, let's go. And I was like, please
Mm-hmm.
let her kill him. But no, they actually get the drop on her because there's so many of them.
They
And
surround her, and I think they know that. The way the shield, they know how the shields work. So,
So she's shielding herself in the front because they have crossbows. And as she's shielding herself in the front, they're shooting her in the back. So
and
she takes several arrows. And then one of the white cloaks is about to come in for the final kill because she can't do anything. She's got arrows sticking out of her front, arrows sticking out of her back.
a human pincushion.
So she's about to get knifed or sworded. She's about to get stabbed. And here comes Maksim fighting. He starts fighting. He starts killing white clothes. Now she got a few of the white clothes. She killed a few of them. But then he starts getting. I was like, y'all stressing me the fuck out in this damn episode. Can y'all please stop shooting the people I like? Please, we still have 3 episodes to go. We can't kill everybody I like in the same episode. That's just not about to happen. So then once they get all the white cloaks killed and they crawl towards each other, she was like, how did you know where I was? He said, you turned on the bond 5 arrows ago. I was like, okay, this is the kind of disagreement or this is the kind of banter I want out of Maksim and Alanna. I don't want no more of this arguing shit. Cut that out. Cut it out. I don't need it. We got enough division going on elsewhere in the episode. I don't need it from you two. Thank you very much.
And for the people listening, yes, she took a lot of arrows, but remember, because of the bond, she gets a health boost.
Yeah.
She gets her stat boost, so
Yeah.
she can take it.
I don't know. That's a lot of arrows. That's a lot of arrows. But I need y'all to stop. Stop shooting my folks. And I need Alanna and Maksim to stop arguing. Just, and it's so funny because even at the beginning of the episode, she was trying to sew together one of her dresses, and he was telling her, he said, well, you can't put on one of the sacks that they wear around here. And she just looked at him like, whatever. And he was like, yeah. He was like, don't you like the shop in such and such? And she was like, talking about leaving already. I thought you were, I thought you was flirting with the baker boy over there. Now the baker boy was cute. He was like, yeah, but have you tasted the bread? That bread was hard as a rock. Who is eating this stuff in the Two Rivers? Like, what? So that's the kind of banter I like from them. I don't like all this arguing stuff. I need y'all to I I don't know. Y'all need to like sleep it off, like literally sleep it off, apparently, because I I'm tired of the arguing. Y'all got
you,
yourselves killed.
you notice he wasn't a part of the Let's Catch Alanna crew. He was noticeably missing.
Because I was hoping I was like, oh, she killing white cloaks right and left. Well, Valda. That motherfucker nowhere. And I think he did that on purpose. He was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna send them up there to catch her.
He probably
Whoever
has
she is.
never been around them. He tells them what to do, and then he waits to see if they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Either they're gonna succeed or not. No skin off his back.
Also, I think probably and we know that he has killed Aes Sedai before. Maybe there was something about what was going on. I don't know how he gauged it. He saw the fog or whatever. He was like, oh no, this is a powerful one. I'm not going to touch her. I'm going to let y'all do it.
I think it's more likely that he don't come in until they caught them
Mm,
to put them to the question or burn them. I'm pretty sure
yeah.
that's how he operates.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way a man like that could survive as long as he has. He
Yeah.
didn't even mess with Egwene because she was tied up.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just needed her to show him she could channel.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
That motherfucker. Oh, and that's the other thing. Because when they walk into the camp, Perrin notices he has wolves' heads on spikes.
mistake. Mm-hmm.
And you could just kind of you could hear Perrin kind of, you know, he was just like, okay, this
So
is
yeah.
uh-uh.
So they get the girls.
They get the girls.
Perrin get the girls and take them out of the camp. So the Perrin sees Natty, and then they fight. They brawl.
Let me tell you that
I thought Dane was gonna die. I really did.
I did too, but I don't think Perrin wants to kill him because I think Perrin, in a way, understands why Dane is doing what he's doing. And I think he also probably realizes that Dane wasn't the one that put Natty to the torch. I mean, he's seen Valder do that before. So I think he's probably like, you know what? You were just in my way. I'm gonna get the one who really did it. Which, again, if Valder wasn't up on the cliffs with the rest of the white cloaks trying to kill Alanna, and he missed the whole fight down there in the camps, where the hell was he? Him hiding.
Happened.
Him hiding.
And then Fire proceeds to kick everybody's ass.
Listen.
So Black Widow, a couple of
Listen. I was like, and you wanted to look, kind of like they did with Wanda. Why was she back there the whole time? You wanted to leave her behind? Really? Really? I mean, I kind of understand because when they got the upper hand on her, Perrin's attention was distracted because he
them.
was worried about her getting hurt. So maybe that's why he put her back, because we do know Perrin got a thing for her. We saw that in Egwene's little dream walking, because Perrin was dreaming of a life in the Two Rivers with Aiel, so and Hopper, which made me sad. But I was like, okay, yeah. But that girl can fight. I can see why Bane and Chi was like, we taking her too. Yep. But the whole thing with Natty being dead now made me even sadder later on in the episode, because when Egwene is doing her dream walking and she's going into all of her friends' dreams, she's in Matt's dream, and Matt is apparently, at this point, he is well off now. And he's talking to his sisters, and he's telling them, he was like, yeah, you guys will never have to sleep on the floor again in your life. And he's happy. And his mom comes up to him and she says, I'm proud of you. And I started tearing up because I was like, this is his dream, to have his mom say she's proud of him. And now he'll never get that chance.
Nope.
The last thing he's going to remember of his mom was her being angry and ugly when he left the Two Rivers, and then the visions that Ishamael showed him. And there was one, so I watch the show with closed captionings, and sometimes the closed captionings don't get it right. So when he was having those visions of his mom being angry at him, one of the lines that she said to him, it sounded different, but the closed caption said something like, you're a prick like him. And I was like, that's harsh for her to say. But in this episode, he I think there was a part where he was remembering something that she said to him. And what she actually said was, don't give up like him. And I was like, oh, is that because he's looking at it differently? Or is that what she actually said, and Ishamael kind of twisted it when he was showing them the thing? I was like, oh, but that made me so sad, because I was like, now Matt is never going to be able to hear his mom say that. She's never going to tell him she's proud of him. And he's going to have to remember how ugly she was to him. That made me sad. Because I was like, okay, I didn't really care for her in the first episode when we met her, but I could understand what she was going through. Because I mean, you're literally sitting here with 3 children struggling, and in your face, your husband is over there trying to fornicate with another woman. I can understand her being bitter. I can understand her being angry, especially because she felt like Matt was starting to be like his father as far as the gambling and stuff goes. But still, it's like, Now Matt will
Mm-hmm.
never get that needed validation from his mom because I really think he needs that, and I think that's one of the reasons why he acts the way he does with other people, as far as like being the hornblower, the bragging, wanting the
Being
admiration and the
the
adoration.
boasting, yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't get it at home, but that made me sad. But
Mhm.
speaking of Matt,
Oh, the Scooby Doo crew.
stuck in two, stuck in, no, excuse me, stuck in a small room on a rocking boat for 2 weeks
Poor Nani.
with someone who keeps throwing up. I can't even imagine the smell in that cabin. No, I'm sorry. I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people. I don't throw up a lot, like at all. It's very, very rare. Even when my kids were little and they got sick and they threw up, I couldn't go near it because I would start dry heaving and almost throw up. So my ex-husband at the time when I was married, he would always be the one to clean up that stuff because I couldn't do it. I didn't have stomach for it. I can't imagine being stuck in a room, and not even an air-conditioned room or anything like that. You are stuck on a medieval boat, because that's what it looks like. You are stuck.
Medieval boat.
You are stuck on the Jolly Roger. You are stuck on the Black Pearl with someone who has been puking their guts out for the last 2 weeks. Like, you've been on the boat for 2 weeks. I know you haven't been eating a lot. What the fuck are you bringing up from your stomach?
Yeah. And well, funny was, it was like, oh, they made us stay down here. Oh, I think it was because they thought Nynaeve would throw herself overboard.
And she was like, is that an option? But it reminds me, that's how Jamie Fraser is on Outlander. He gets seasick too.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. So I'm sitting here laughing. Elayne is trying to give them a geography lesson on Tanchico. Matt is going off on her. Yeah, I'm sure you're not used to traveling like this. You're used to people hoisting you on. I was like, okay, yeah, y'all have been in close quarters way too long.
Way too long.
But Elayne said that was the only promise I made to the ship captain, is that we would stay down here during the course of the trip. But while they're traveling, she happens to look outside and she was like, hold up, we shouldn't be passing this place yet. We've only been on the
Mhm.
boat for 2 weeks. We're moving
Yeah,
way
she said, I
fast.
know their ships are fast, but they shouldn't be this
It
fast.
shouldn't be this fast. And of course, Matt is like, oh, let's go investigate. We're going upstairs. So they all go upstairs. And it's a not all women crew, but it's mostly women crew. And I actually liked this because, anytime we're watching something about ships and pirates, or, those types of things, it's always men. And, the superstition is always that it's bad luck to have a woman on the ship. So they have all these different superstitions, or if you have a woman on a boat, they have to stay down in the cabin, which I thought was why they were trying to keep them down there. And I was just like, oh, it's a woman captain. Oh, it's a woman steering the boat. Like, okay, all these powerful, powerful women of color. I was here for it. I was like, yes, okay, come on, come on, being in charge. And they come down and they're like, y'all aren't even supposed to be up here. Y'all supposed to be down below. And she looks at Nynaeve. She said, okay, you're from the mountains. And then she starts telling her, I guess, about how to combat her seasickness. She was like, you plant your feet so firmly on the ground that you don't
Mm-hmm.
give sway to
For the
anything
boat.
else. She was
Mm-hmm.
like, kind of loosen your legs and let the boat rock while you stay in place. So she's giving her that information. And Nynaeve starts to feel a little bit better, and they're having a conversation with the ship captain. They're like, okay, hey, can we just stay up here? Like,
The
can't go
sail
any
mistress. The
sail
sail
mistress. That's
mistress.
what I couldn't remember the word for. Yes, thank you, sail mistress. But they were like, can we stay up here? And while Matt is over here lounging, here's men, the stowaway, over here in the back, and she tries to sneak to her room, and Matt finds it. He was like, hey, can I come stay with you instead of them? And she was like, no, you can't come into my cabin. But of course, Matt follows her to her cabin.
Matt doesn't believe in boundaries.
He doesn't. Or maybe he does, and that's why he needed it, because he was like, I can't be in this cabin with these two anymore. Like there are no boundaries in here, so I need some kind of boundaries. Okay, yeah, I'll go disturb your boundaries. But while he's lounging in her hammock, she is furiously trying to collect up all these papers that she has strewn around the cabin. And he picks one up, and it's a drawing of him hanging, the vision that she saw back in Tar Valon. And he was like, "What is this?" And she was like, "These are my visions." She said, "I figure if I can remember as many details, then maybe I can do something to stop them from happening." And Matt's like, "Yeah, okay." He was like, "I'm not gonna kill myself, contrary to what you might think, or maybe I won't kill myself." But he's like, "Okay." And then she kind of lightens it up, but you see him get back on the hammock and he kind of curls up like a baby. And I was like, I don't think Matt likes knowing, like, this is the second time he's been shown a vision of him hanging himself, because again, Ishamael, that was one of the visions that he saw in Fall.
Mm-hmm.
I
Wait,
was
wait,
like,
don't say it that way. He didn't hang himself.
okay, well, okay,
No,
him hanging.
he's
Okay, yes,
him
of him
hanging.
hanging,
Yes,
of him hanging,
and
because
also he keeps pointing out that her visions don't always come true.
mm-hmm,
But dude, you did stab Rand.
yeah,
She said you killed, but you don't.
yeah, but yeah,
You
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
bruh.
yes, okay, let me change it, because he was the one who was like, "I'm not gonna kill myself," but I was also thinking when he said that, you hanging doesn't necessarily mean that you killed yourself. That it could mean somebody killed you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna think that, because again, we're not gonna have none of my people die. No, we're not doing that. We've already had Ivan die this season. That was the quota. We're not
Yeah.
doing anything. We're not doing anything else. But so later on the boat, Nynaeve and Elayne are sleeping, and Elayne wakes up because there's light. You can see the light being reflected on her face, and she looks up, and the woman who was steering the boat earlier, she's actually moving the boat faster because she's channeling. And when I say her movements were so beautiful, because she looked like she was in the midst of a dance. It was so beautiful. It was so, like, it was big. It was just kind of
It's
all over the
beautiful.
place.
It looked almost like the Northern Lights.
Yes, it did.
Mm-hmm.
And Elayne wakes up Nynaeve. Oh, sorry. And Elayne wakes up Nynaeve, and then the ship mistress comes to talk to them. They're like, "This is why we told you to stay down, because we didn't want you to see this." And Elayne says something to her about why, if you're if what do they call them, wave riders or something like that, I think she said.
Wind finders.
Wind finders.
Yes.
So she was like, if your wind finders can channel, why don't you go to the tower to learn what they know? And her response, she said, "There's more than one way to channel. There's more than one way to be a woman." And I was like, I feel like she said that for Nynaeve's benefit, because she realized Nynaeve has a block.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "You can't touch the source." And Nynaeve says, "I can touch it. I just don't have any control over when I can touch it." She said, "Of course not. Channeling is like," what did she say? "Channeling is like the sea. You're not supposed to control it."
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "I can tell you now." She said, "You're a person who doesn't like to who doesn't like to let go of control." And Elayne kind of snickers, because she's like, "Yeah, this is true." She was like, "I see it in both of y'all." She said, "You don't like to give up control. And then you over here, you're trying," what did she say? "You are trying to run away
Straight from the path you're on, or
from the
something.
path you're on, or you're trying to change the path you're on."
Mm-hmm.
And Elayne looks at her like, "I didn't tell you to analyze." But yeah, when
Yeah, they
she
they
saw
send weak channelers to the tower. I think it's like one a year,
mm,
just to placate them and show them that yeah, we're weak channelers and
yeah,
leave them
yeah,
alone.
because what does Nynaeve say? She said they say that they say that your women are too weak in the source.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, yeah, that's what we want y'all to think.
Mm-hmm. But
She was
they're
like,
actually very powerful.
I I can tell.
Yeah.
And then she tells Nynaeve and Elayne, she was like, so we really don't want your tower to know this. And they're like, no, we're not going to tell anyone. But like I said, I feel like that was something Nynaeve needed to see.
Yeah. And but the other side of that is I think the cell mistress thinks they're Aes Sedai and thinks they can't lie. And
Mm,
so that's why she wanted to make sure. And also the sea folk, you're not supposed to break your bargain with the sea folk.
that's what Elayne
They
said.
make you pay for it.
Yep.
The sea folk are very interesting. The Atha'an Ma'ir.
Huh?
I said that right. The Atha'an Ma'ir.
Bless you.
Sea folk. That's the Atha'an Ma'ir.
The
Sea
author
folk.
on my ear. Okay.
Yes, the sea
Okay.
folk. Um, I don't. This isn't a spoiler, but all the groups do. They have a prophecy as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. You said something about all the groups have their own
They have,
prophecy.
and theirs is the Koromor. They're waiting for the Koromor.
Okay.
He's the one that's going to lead them to glory and to control all the seas.
Mm, okay.
But and they will swear their allegiance to him for the last battle when he comes.
So is that the same as the Karakan?
Um,
Or is this maybe a different person that they're
all the prophecies point to the same person: the
okay.
Dragon
Okay.
Reborn,
Okay.
the Koromor, the Karakan. It's
Okay.
the person they all need to follow for the last battle.
Okay.
Everybody has a prophecy of
Okay.
the one who is going to lead them into the last battle.
Okay. So so the reason why I asked that is because, and I know this is probably like so far-fetched, but again, I've not read the books, so I don't know exactly how the story goes. But I'm one of those people who like I like quests and I like stories about chosen ones and all of that. But I also like stories where um instead of it being one person doing this grand big thing by themselves, it turns out that they need a core group to do different things, but they all achieve the same purpose. So in my mind, I'm just wondering, okay, you have all these different prophecies and they call them all these different things, and this person is going to do this and this person is going to do this, and obviously all these people can't be in the same place at the same time doing all these things. So I'm just like, okay, so is it that Perrin is going to be the one to lead such and such, and then maybe Matt is going to be the one to lead such. I'm thinking of a I'm thinking of Voltron. I'm thinking of 5 parts of something coming together to create this one powerful being. And obviously I know they're not going to merge, but I'm just kind of that's kind of how I want it to be. Like I want it to be that okay, yeah, Rand is the Dragon Reborn, but he can't be the Dragon Reborn without his friends. Like that's the reason why the Forsaken are trying to turn his friends to the dark because they want him to follow because so that's just me.
So,
That's just
so,
the kind of thing I
so
like.
I have two references for you.
Okay.
The first is I can't remember which Terminator movie it was, but remember there was a movie where the Terminator said, "Fine, we can't kill John Connor," so they went back to kill his lieutenants because the Terminator, the Skynet believed if he killed his lieutenants, I think that was I can't remember which,
Three?
huh?
Was it the
Maybe it was the third one. But yeah,
sounds
they
like
sent Terminators back to kill his lieutenants
mm-hmm.
because they feel like if they kill his lieutenants, then he won't be able to win.
Okay.
Okay. And also I mentioned this before about Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
The main person, the chosen one, still needs the support of the people around him.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't destroy the last Horcrux. Someone else had to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He couldn't fight the battle by himself. He needed
Right.
other people to do that for him.
Right.
This is very similar to that.
Okay, but since you brought up Harry Potter, I have to bring up the fact that the prophecy could have referred to one other person and not necessarily.
That's just her putting a spin on it.
Oh, okay. Because I was
That
gonna
was
say
her
that could
putting a
be
spin.
the case in the Wheel of Time. Like, okay, yeah, Rand is the Dragon Reborn, but this person over here is gonna be the one that's gonna get the shit done. So I'm just
No,
saying.
he needs the same way the wheel spun out all the tools that he needs to get his job done.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Okay. Mm-hmm.
know, yeah, because his battle is not with the Forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
His battle is with the Dark One.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me say that again.
I know.
His battle is not with the Forsaken.
Forsaken is with the
They're
dark.
they're nothing. His battle, the real battle, is with the Dark One.
Okay.
Let everybody else deal with all the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let them fight the Forsaken. Let them fight the Trollocs. He could
Mm-hmm.
do that in his sleep.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not, but that's not what he's. That's not what his intention. His job at the last battle is to face the Dark One.
Mm-hmm.
No one else can do that.
Yeah.
Only
Okay.
the Dragon Reborn can do that.
Only the Dragon Reborn. Okay.
And the Cormor, the Sea Folks prophecy, the Jendai prophecy
Mm-hmm.
says the Cormor will come with the breaking of the world again, and the Sea Folk must be there to see the world remade.
Mm. Okay.
So
Okay. There was another question I was about to ask, but oh no, I wasn't. So they arrive in Tanchico. They get off the boat, and of course, men, she is introduced to Nynaeve and Elayne, and Matt's like, okay, so she's gonna go with us, and blah blah blah. She feels like she has a debt to pay, and they're like, are we sure we can trust her? And she was like, look, have y'all been to Tanchico? No, guess what? I have. And I said that. I said, I bet your man's been to Tanchico because men just she just hop on a cart and be everywhere. How you
mm-hmm,
go from Fall Dara to Farm or Fall Dara to Tarvalon to Farm back to Tarvalon. Now you in Tanchico. Yeah, men gets around. She
mm-hmm.
gets around. And even Nynaeve was like, I met you in Faldara. You're the one who told Rand he was the dragon. She's like, yeah, so about that. But when they get off the boat and she's giving them instructions, she was like, okay, don't do this. Don't look people in the eye. Don't hold your money out. She's giving them all these instructions and they're walking past. Matt happens to notice something on the side and he looks up and there is a man hanging there on the docks. And I was just like, Matt even looked like, okay, we're gonna keep walking. Like he was like, I'm not paying attention to this. I'm not even about to put this in my mind. Okay, he obviously did something that he deserved it for. We're gonna go this way. I'm not gonna pay attention to this. But I was just like, I don't like the foreshadowing here. I don't. Because are you trying to tell me that somebody's gonna try to kill Matt and Tanchico? I mean, if it's really as dangerous a place as they're making it sound,
I mean, men said, "Don't look nobody in the eye." Right? Wait a second. Where are we at?
right? Like, am I supposed to walk like this? Just follow the feet in front of me and I'll be okay?
Don't flash your money. Don't look nobody in the eye. Don't talk too loud.
Don't talk too loud.
Damn.
Like, what can I do? And I know she said that don't talk too loud. Matt, this pertains to you. Keep your mouth shut. Don't be going around telling everybody you're the horn blower. Just just be quiet. Me no speaking English. Just don't talk.
Please don't talk.
Don't do nothing. But I was like, okay, well, they're getting a little bit closer to Leandrin. Oh, but hold on, I'm trying to think. I don't remember what happened at the end of this episode. Was that the end? Them arriving in Tanchico? Oh no, no,
No,
no.
the end was
Was
Egwene jumping in
Egwene. Yeah.
everybody's dreams,
Yeah.
which we touched on earlier.
Yeah, we
I
did.
think the only one we didn't talk about was
Nynaeve's.
Nynaeve's, which
Yeah.
there isn't really much to say about that. Of course, she's going to dream about that.
Yeah. But
And
okay.
and then we talked a little bit about, well, we didn't talk about Siuan and
Yeah, that's where I was about to
Moiraine.
go. Yeah. So okay, so we're gonna move from Tanchico and we're gonna go back to the Aiel waste because again we've talked about Rand and Egwene has been working with Bear and Elayne on going to Teleron Riyadh. We saw her have one attack by Lanfear once Lanfear realized she was there. She was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here." And I was just like, "No, don't be glad she's there. Don't no, let's not do this." So, like we said, Moiraine asks Egwene. She was like, "Okay, so they've been teaching you how to go in and out of dreams. Can you take me? There's a message that I have to deliver." And Egwene is telling her about it being dangerous. And she was like, "Okay, so I told you this 2 years ago or a few years ago. So now you're telling me." She was like, "I understand, but this is important." And Egwene said, "Is it worth the risk? Does it have anything to do with what you learned in Ruidian?" And Moiraine says, "Yes." So she takes her to the hut that, Siuan and she kind of share. And so they have this conversation. And this is another one where, again, I feel like I'm getting more out of their interactions now than I did when we first found out they were together.
Mm-hmm.
So she comes in and she tells Siuan that she's, been through the rings at Ruidian. And that's when Siuan figures out she's in the Aiel waste. So she was like, "You're in the Aiel waste?" And she was like, "Yeah, so there are
About
two
that.
things." She was like, "There are two things. If the tower does not bend the knee to Rand Thor, he will lose the last battle." And Siuan's like, "Oh." And then Moiraine is like, "And yeah, that's it. Like, excuse me, bitch, I can count. You said two things. That was one. What else are you not telling me?"
Then she proceeded to distract someone with other stuff, so she wouldn't ask her about
Well,
the
I
other
mean,
people.
but it's conversation they needed to have because, of course, she's still upset with Siuan. And Siuan was like, "What would you have me do when I was in Kari?" And she was like, "I had no other choice." She said, "What would you have done?" And Moiraine was like, "What you did, probably worse." I mean, and that's when Siuan like sits down. She tells her, she was like, "You know what? Oh no," because Moiraine says, she says to her, she said, "You and I both had a job. My job was to find the dragon reborn. Your job was to get the tower ready,
Yep.
and you were not prepared." And obviously, Siuan is hurt by that because, duh, it's true. Y'all ain't even thinking about the dragon in that way because you sitting here trying to figure out who the Black Ajah are. And Moiraine tells her, she was like, "Look, you don't have any time to not get this right." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds so familiar," because Siuan said the same thing to her in Karian. She was like, he should have been trained and you should have had him ready to fight. Moraine's been a little bit busy too.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, they're having that conversation, and Moiraine is like, "Look, you have to get the tower ready. You can't afford to make another mistake." And so one's just like, "I just wish we would have taken some horses, or I wish we wouldn't have gone into what's her name's room.
Zatara.
Yeah, we could have just taken some horses and gone." And then she tries to kiss Moiraine. Moiraine was like, "No, we broke what we had. This is this is over." She was like, "There's no fixing this in this life." And this one's like, "Okay, well, I'll just find you in the next life, or the next, or the next, or the next, until we get it right." And Moiraine is like, "And I'll wait for you in every life." And then she tells Siuan she loves her. But I was like, this is what Ishamael was talking about. Like, I understand the concept of loving someone so much that you're like, "Oh, I would be with you in every lifetime." But at the same time, what if there's something better for you out there in the next life? what if there are other opportunities? What if there are other, like, what if you're supposed to be doing something else, but you just keep wasting? I won't even say wasting, but you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and
Well,
over
the
again.
the benefit of it is you don't remember. That's Ishamel's fault that he figured out a way to remember his previous lives. That's on him.
Repeat what you just said.
That's on Ishamel for
Before you said that, you said the benefit of that is,
you don't remember your previous life.
hmm, does that apply to Rand al'Thor as well as far as Lanfear goes?
There are reasons. Is different if you are the person who went mad and is tainted.
I
There's
just had to do it.
well, there's something that's kind of missing
Hmm.
and from the show and from Rand that um hopefully is coming, but it, aligning with the books, it should be soon.
Okay.
It should start happening to him.
Okay.
It's not yet. But maybe when he starts channeling more, it'll start happening.
Okay. Yeah. I just had to mess with you about that because
I know
we've
you
had
can't
such
remember
a
your previous
spirited
life.
debate.
Yeah, yeah. But and I think it is. I think they're subtly because they do a lot of subtle hinting on the show.
They really
If
do.
you
Yes.
don't know, if you don't know what to be looking for, you'll miss it.
Hmm.
And there've been a couple of times when I could tell something was happening to Rand,
Hmm.
but they're not really. Yeah, it's not explicit. And as fast as they're moving with Egwene with the dream walking, I thought they would move faster with the other thing.
Okay.
And but we'll talk about that later.
Okay. When it gets to that point.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we got couples fighting, couples kind of sort of making up. I don't think Moiraine and Siuan are going to be one of those couples. And then, of course,
Mm.
after that, this is where we get to Egwene dream walking because she's trying to give Moiraine and Siuan some privacy as they discuss whatever Moiraine comes to discuss. So we talked about it earlier. She sees Perrin. Perrin is, at his forge in the Two Rivers. Fael is with him, so is Hopper, and he looks happy. And she looks kind of surprised because she was like, "Oh, he went home and found someone." Like, okay, good for you, Perrin. We talked about Matt with his mother and his sisters. Um, she's on the boat and she sees Elayne, and Elayne is one of the wind finders. She's
Mhm.
sitting there and she's
Yeah,
steering
of
the
course
ship.
Elaine's dreaming about that. Of
She's
course.
dreaming about that, and then Avienda shows up
Yeah.
in her Maiden of the Spear outfit, and she looks more like Avienda to me because I was like, it's almost like they're two different people. The change from Maiden of the Spear, Avienda, to
The
Wise One.
wise
And I
one.
think also with her being the Wise One, I don't think she has on any eye makeup, and she has like a little bit of eyeliner when she's in the
Mhm.
Maiden costume. So I think that's one of the things that makes her different. But of course, she's dreaming of that and she's happy. Nynaeve is at the stream in the Two Rivers, and she is with her daughter, teaching her how to feel the wind, just like she did with Egwene. And I was just like, y'all keep tearing my heart out this episode. Please stop.
Come on, get to the good one. Get to the good one.
Then we get to the last one. Rand is on his mountain. We did talk about him and Lanfear having a conversation, right? Yeah, because she
Mhm.
she confessed that she loved him. So Rand is on the mountain. She sees him, and then all of a sudden, she sees a woman's hand come up to his neck, and she gets startled. And it's Lanfear kissing Rand. And when she turns her head, she's looking directly at Egwene. And Egwene has this recollection of all the times this woman has been in her dreams, even the times when she thought it was Renna, now she's seeing Lanfear's face. It's like
Mhm.
now that Lanfear has made herself known to her, she realizes that that's who's been in her dreams the whole time. She lets out a scream, and then the fucking episode goes off. I was like, y'all motherfuckers. So it's about to be some. It's about to be some drama. Like I think Rand and Egwene are about to break up for real now because what? You're kissing the bitch that's been trying to kill me in
Yeah,
Teleron
but
time?
she don't know how she's
I
manipulating
know,
you.
but I can guarantee you she ain't thinking about that. She's like, first of all, who is this bitch that you're kissing? Because as far as I know, I'm the only woman that's been in your life. Let's start there.
First of all, let's not be traipsing through men's dreams. Let's not
That
do that.
well, that
It's a
too. Like you
dream. Let's
said,
not
you
do
know,
that.
you're doing this without permission, so you might see some things
Yeah.
that you
And
don't
she
like. It's
does
a
that.
good thing she didn't see them in the little inn.
She does that in the books too. You talk about Matt not having boundaries. Egwene had no boundaries. And
Really?
they told her don't do it. It's very private and personal.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, no, I'm good. So, you know,
Mm-mm.
Egwene as
Because I
as
don't even like it when Lanfear does it. So the fact that Egwene is doing that, I'm like, these are people that you love.
even the Forsaken sort of had some decorum about it. Egwene didn't care.
That's bad when you say the Forsaken have manners and she doesn't.
She doesn't. She didn't. No, she didn't. She really didn't. She
Wow.
becomes a bitch. I'm just gonna tell you now. She turns into a bitch in the books.
Mm.
She does.
I'm gonna be honest. I can see it, especially after the way she handled Siuan and the other sisters when she went through the arches. Yeah, I can see it. I can.
Hmm.
Okay. I can't believe she did that. That's just like I said, I understand you want to see, you're missing your friends, you want to see them, you want to make sure they're okay. And right now, that is the only way that you can do that. I get it.
And
But
I think I remember. I feel like I remember one of the first lessons they taught her was dreams are very personal and private.
mhm.
You really don't want to go into that.
And here's the thing, that shouldn't be something that she has to be taught.
Yeah.
Because how would she feel if Rand just walked up? Well, I mean, she's probably dreaming about Rand half the time anyway, so she probably wouldn't care. But still, it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
It was easy for her because she's a dream walker. It's easy for them to do.
Mm. Now, I guess my question is, as a dream walker, do the other people see her in their dreams?
I'm not sure. I think there might be it might be a conscious choice. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Or I was gonna say, can she allow them to see her in their dreams? Like if she
Oh,
really
for
wants them to
sure.
see her.
For
Okay. Okay.
sure. Because if she needed to talk to him or give him a message, yeah.
Okay.
But if she was sneaking around, trying to gather information, trying to eavesdrop on people, then no, they wouldn't see her.
And see, that's the
Yeah, that sounds so wrong, don't it?
it does. I mean, I can see how it can be useful. Like, okay, I can go jump in this dream and see what this bad person is doing. If I know this person is a Black Ajah, I can do that. But that's where your morals come in because even though yes, these are bad people, these are people who probably could be plotting something evil, whatever. If you can't have respect for them inside their own mind, then you don't have respect. I mean, it's just because they're bad, that doesn't give you that right. Even
Mm.
though I know there are times where we'll probably be like, oh, they're bad, they did this, they did that. I think I don't know.
Even if it's not right that Rand is fooling around with her in her dreams, it's still it doesn't make it any more right for her to go into his dream and
Right.
peep in on him either.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Good. Yep. But here's the other thing. Why are you trying to sneak up and spend time with him in his dreams, but you're not spending time with him in real life? I'm just saying, if I have a choice between, I mean, I guess, a person can touch, you can touch a person in their dreams or whatever. So maybe it's not that different in that sense. But if I have to choose between being in a dream with someone or being with them in real life, and you know that there's issues, that there's kind of a strain on the relationship, there's a divide, there's something that you might either need to fix or you need to just kind of get it out there and say, okay, this is not working anymore. We need to just end this, be clean about it. But you want to go visit him in his dreams. You could have walked back to the tent to visit him. I mean, I guess if you're sitting there waiting for Moiraine to get done and telling Ron Riyadh, we don't know what happened with her and Siuan after she actually consented to that kiss. They could be in there fooling around right now, and Egwene's just like, okay, how long am I gonna have to wait? And
Mm-hmm.
she's finding things to do because you don't want to leave Moiraine and Teleron Riyadh by herself, right? Right. But
I'm not
yeah,
sure if they're in Teleron Real or they're in Swan's dream.
oh, and Siuan's dream, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like the way that I don't like the way that's going.
Mm-hmm. And
But
she
I
she
bet
does
she
it
won't.
so
Well,
effortlessly, so effortlessly.
yeah, what was it Mullane said? She was like she learns too fast. And Mullane seems to have a problem with how fast Egwene is picking that up. Because she said something about that when she came back after Lanfear tried to kill her in the dream. She was like, she learns too fast, she takes too much on too quick.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, wouldn't you want her to learn fast so she could learn how to defend herself?
No,
But
because then she does stupid shit like
like
this.
this, yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah. So I gave this episode, it was a solid 8.5. It was really an info dump, a
yeah.
lot of exposition, a lot. It wasn't even like setup. It was just a lot of lore, a lot of
Yeah.
background information and whatnot. So but
Except
it was still
yeah.
pretty good.
Except for the two river stuff. The two river stuff is
Well, they finally answered the question. Alana finally answered the question why she was there.
yeah,
She was there to raise an army.
trying to build an army.
She's there to raise an army.
But can we not get shot with arrows first? Because you can't raise an army if you're dead. I need you to be a little more mindful, Alana. When Maxim tells you that you got white cloaks down there, you don't think they're gonna sniff out some channeling? Listen to the man.
Yeah.
And
So,
so subtle with the cloud
but
cover.
we had to have some action. But other than that, it was a decent episode.
And I was tripping about the white cloaks because when they snuck into the camp, one of the white cloaks came out of the tent and he was very visibly very drunk. He's moving around. I'm like, aren't y'all worried about Trollocs? Like, aren't y'all there because Trollocs are attacking and you're drunk?
For the most part, I think it was sort of maybe a reference for book readers. For the most part, the white cloaks in the books, I'm not gonna say they're a joke,
Mm-hmm.
but they ain't the greatest fighters. They're not the
Yeah.
greatest army in the world.
Yeah.
They're they are sort of a joke
Mm-hmm.
in the book.
That
They
guy
they
who
do get serious a little bit later when
uh
leadership changes, but yeah, it
that
is
guy
what
who
it is.
Valda was talking to, he was like, hey, do you want to go learn how to catch a real witch or something? When Valda walked off, that dude was looking at him like, am I really supposed to do this? He was looking like, I do not want to be here. Why am I here?
Yeah, he's a
Why?
he's a character. He's a character from the book everybody knows,
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't think he's going to be important. just like that person that they turned into a gray man. He was a fairly
Jai Chim, do you want
yeah
to be a gray man?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So this
we'll
was
see how these
episode,
things play out.
yeah. So this was episode 5. We have 3 more episodes. Right now, there is no news of whether or not it's going to be renewed for season 4.
Yeah, I think I
And
read
that's
somewhere.
worrisome.
I think I read somewhere there's a petition or something.
Could be, but also, I think I read an article. Actually, there were a couple of articles this morning talking about how the ratings have gone up and how the viewership has increased with season 3. They're like, the viewership numbers are crazy. So there's like, why is it not renewed yet? And I'm like, y'all know these streaming platforms, they like to play
Mhm.
these stupid games. So I'm just, if y'all don't renew the show after this season, after the way this season is going, this season has been phenomenal so far.
Mhm.
If y'all don't renew this show after this season, I just I don't know what to say.
Read
Like,
the books.
I mean, and I'll do that, but still,
I
as
know
I get
it's a
older,
visual thing.
my interest is more visual because I can't sit and focus for long enough to read a book. It's just, I'm about to be 50, as I have on my vintage 1975 shirt. I'm about to be 50. I just don't have that kind of concentration anymore. And these books are thick as hell.
Yeah, they get pretty.
So,
Yeah, I
no, go
told you the
ahead.
last book is the last battle,
I
and
know.
it's one of the thicker books.
I, I know that's the one I have sitting on my shelf right now. And I'm like, ooh, I remember when I used to read a book like this in like 2 days. Now we'll see. I mean, everybody talks about how good the books are. So if I can get into
No,
it,
that was a lie
oh,
because books 5, 6, 7, and 8.
yes, you've mentioned that before. You have mentioned that before. You have mentioned that. But I mean, if I can get the time, because we know with my schedule, time, what's that extra time? You
What
want
is
time to
that?
you want time to sit down and read a book for an hour or two? What the hell? I don't know. But if I could find the time, and then if I could like get into it and just kind of focus, then I might do it. But I want to say I've really fallen in love with the way these actors portray these characters, even the evil
Mhm.
ones. They are so good. So it's kind of like I want to see them finish the story out. And I mean, you've got enough material to go through for several seasons. Just don't fuck it up. So, but yeah, I hope we get a season 4 announcement soon. But Anthony, you have any final thoughts on this episode?
Nope.
Egwene, stay out of folks' dreams. That's all I'm gonna say. So for
She's gonna
now,
she's gonna turn into Cassandra from Wolverine and Deadpool.
oh God. No, that is horrible. And on that note, that is it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We're on social media, on all the social media at Fandom Hybrid. You can chat with us on our Discord channel. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel, and you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.